Good morning, good afternoon, maybe even good evening or good night. I'm not really sure when you're catching this, but that's the whole point of it being pre recorded, right? Those Zoom meetings, I think, were tough for a lot of us to be able to commit to a certain time. So hopefully, this is a little bit easier. You guys can watch at your leisure. But anyway, no matter when you're watching this, I hope that it finds you well, and that everyone's staying safe and sane, and that you're all keeping up with your classwork, like I know you are, right? Yep, maybe. So anyway, you know that my extracurricular is Josh the Builder, where we're gonna do like some building stuff. But I also figured that I could be maybe Josh the Fixer. Lots of times in class we talk about stuff, building things and fixing whatnot, and students are always like, man, I wish I could do this or I wish I could do that. And the truth of the matter is you can, as long as you know what you're doing. So hopefully some of these videos I can show you some small projects and how to fix things, give you guys some practical advice, maybe some tips and tricks on how to do things, and that way you can do it on your own. Okay? So this first video, I figured a common thing that we all have trouble with is actually a flat tire on a bike, right? I like to ride bikes. It's how I get around a lot of times, going to the beach and whatnot. And so a common thing is lots of times you'll run over some glass, maybe a nail, or even a sharp rock. And then your tire pops, and just because it's a flat tire, though, doesn't mean it's necessarily the end of the bike or at the end of the world, even. So hopefully, right now, I can show you how to fix a tire. So I've already taken the tire off of the bike, and I'll show you how to put it back on. Funny story, actually. So yesterday, I started recording myself doing the first video of how to take a tire off and how to fix it. And right when I went to blow it back up after I had already fixed everything, the tire, I realized, had a major problem. So today I'm going to show you not only how to replace the tube, but also replace the tread. Because unfortunately, on my wife's bike, as you can see here, where is it? Not only was the tire flat, but the whole side of her, not only was the tube flat, but the whole side of her tire had blown out. So I'm going to show you how to replace everything. Okay? And then put it back together. And if you want to know how to take a tire off, just do the reverse of what I do to put it on. Okay? So let me just show you real fast. This was the original tube, and you can see it's unfortunately ripped. Whatever she ran over, shredded. So now we're going to go into how to replace everything. And first off, let's go over the tools and materials that you'll need in order to fix things, okay? So first off the bat is actually a new tube. New tube. That's this thing. It's what holds the air, actually, and supports the tire and basically the heart of a bike, okay? I got this at my local hardware store. You can find it pretty much anywhere. Whether you want to go to Walmart, just go to that aisle that has all the bikes, and you'll see on the side that there's a whole bunch of bike parts and accessories. Excuse me. So, tubes, just make sure you get the right size. So, for instance, my wife's tire is from a beach cruiser, so it's tall and it's also very wide. As opposed to, say, like one of those Lance Armstrong style road bikes that have the really tall but skinny tires, or even like a BMX that has like an 18-inch wheel. If you're curious on how to find or like what size tire you need, just go and look actually on your tire itself, and you will find, yep, see how it said, you might not be able to see because it's white on white, but on the side here it has all the dimensions, has all the recommended air pressure. Everything that you need to know about your tire is on the side, written on the sidewall here. Okay? So, new tube. Also, since I need to replace the tread and everything, I got this, which is new tread. Again, I got this at my hardware store. You can get it at Walmart, anywhere. The tube itself cost me, I think, $3 or $4. This was a little bit more expensive, like $15. But either way, it's not going to break your bank if you're going to have to replace your tube. Okay? So, beyond that, some tools that you'll need. I like using flathead screwdrivers. You might need 2 of them. I'll show you that why later. You'll also need wrenches to get it off and on the bike, and we'll go over that when I put everything back together. Don't forget paper towels or a rag, because you're gonna get rust and grease off the tire itself. And then the trick for this is Windex or something like it, something you find underneath your kitchen sink. I like Windex personally because that's what I have. All right, so let's get on with this. Let's look at the tire itself. So this is a back tire. You can see the sprocket and everything else. This is actually her brake here. And then the sprocket and gears over on this side. But essentially, for a bike tire, it's 3 main components. You have the rim, the tread, and then the tube itself. Okay? So one thing I'll show you, this is where the Windex kind of comes in handy. You can spray it all around the rim. No, it's not to clean it, but it gives you a little bit of some slack. Helps lubricate the rim so you can slide the tire off. Okay? So for me, I got the tire off. I'm going to take out this tube. Now remember my funny story? This tube was actually good, but I'm not going to use it simply because I got a brand new one. So I got my handy rim. Got my rim here. Gonna make sure everything looks good and looks okay. Sure. I'm gonna take 2 seconds and actually clean it off with these paper towels. That way everything's good. One thing that you'll notice when I go forward with everything is, since it's a circle, you want to start in one area and work around. It's tough because you're never going to be able to, say, put a tube here and stretch it all the way out. So you got to go around. But you'll see, and that'll make sense. So let's get out the new parts. Getting out the tube. And these come all balled up in plastic. Usually have a little rubber band around it. So just take it out. Trash over here. Get it out. You can see this is a new tube. It's flat, but it's good. Getting out the tread. Trash over there. And here we go. This you kind of have to like pop open because it was all kind of balled up. So here's the new tread itself, the tire, and the new tube. So to do this correctly, you want to get your rim. And one other important thing I want to point out to you is that the tube, to fill it up, it's known as the air stem. And this air stem comes with a cap on it. You want to take that off, okay? You'll put it on when it's all done. Get your tire, and somewhere in the rim there should be a hole. You can see that hole there? That's where the air stem goes through. So put the air stem through, and Like I said, you want to start and work your way around. It's a little tough to see, tough to do. You might have a lot of slack, but that's just because it's not inflated yet. Then we got our actual tire. And again, you kind of want to put that on, start in one spot, and work your way around the rim. If anything, you can tuck the tube into the tread. That might help make it a little bit easier. And the tread itself, has two sides. You just kind of want to work it so you can get one side over the rim and then the other. If you need to use more Windex to help make it so you can, that's what I'm saying. The Windex helps kind of lube it up so you can actually just spread it over. Takes a little bit of finagling here. Sorry. See, I'm trying to work this over the rim. Get it into the rim. Get it all tucked in. I'll make sure that the tube goes into the tire. And it should be able to sit in there properly. And then you're going to want to tuck in the other side of the tire. Into the rim. Just take your time. Make sure everything lines up. Oops. Seriously. There you go. I got the tire and tube back on. We're good to go. And I didn't need any Windex, which is good. Actually, I did a little bit. And then the next thing you want to do is inflate your tire. So let me take this. Bear with me for a second. See. Alright, So I luck out that I have an air compressor with me, but if you have a pump or anything like that, what you're going to do is fill up the tire. And there you go. You have the tire all back together. Let me just go get my tools, and I'll show you how to put it back on the bike. Okay. So, so we have the bike here. That's my bike, but this is hers. Oops. And you can see I have it actually upside down, sitting on the seat, balanced on the seat and the handlebars. That just makes it a little bit easier to work on for me with the back tire. Okay, so to put it back onto the frame, this is what we're going to do. Let's see. A little bit better of a view, right? Okay, so you got your frame here, and this is where we're going to put it back on. So another big part of the bike itself, you'll see there are, it's actually called the hub. It's in the middle, and that's what you're going to be putting on to the frame. So take your chain, pull it back. You just want it to sit. You want the chain to go around the sprocket because that's how you pedal. So there you go. Sits perfectly here. So all you gotta do is tighten these. One thing I would one hint I'll give you: you want to pull the tire back and try and center it as much as you can in the frame, because you want the chain to be tight. Because otherwise, if it's loose, as soon as you go to pedal, it's gonna fall off. So you want the tire kind of back and to sit straight. So for me, I got a ratchet here, otherwise just an old-fashioned wrench. You can even use an adjustable. Just make sure it's the right size. Okay? For me, I'm going to start tightening. And remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So in order to tighten things, you want to turn them to the right. Another hint I would give you is you will kind of want to go back and forth on each side. That way they tighten evenly. Because you don't want the tire to be, you want it to be centered as much as possible. Okay. This tire doesn't have to be like these hub ones. You want them tight, but you don't have to go crazy on it, okay? Another thing you gotta do is attach the brake. For hers, this is a coaster brake, that bar I mentioned to you, pointed out to you. You want to put that back on. If you have a hand brake, maybe, you might have to tighten the wire and get the pads together. Here's the bolt for her coaster brake. Put that back on. For this, I needed a Phillips screwdriver. Phillips is the one that has like the cross or X on it. And use that to tighten the screw back on. And she has a couple gears. That's what this thing actually is. It's her shifter. And that sits on this little spindle. I took that off and set it to the side when I was working on the tire. That way I wouldn't break it. One key thing though is you definitely want to keep all your parts organized as much as possible. See how that fits in there? And then the shifter just goes on the outside of it. And with that, there's a little bolt here I'm going to put back on. Make sure it's nice and tight. Because that'd be one thing you don't want to start pedaling and your bike to fall apart. Alright. All good. Let's flip her over. And voila! Good as new. Even better. Because we did it ourselves. Alright. There's Josh the Fixer. Josh the Fixer, episode 1.